Welcome to another episode of From the Logo Podcast. We got myself, Hayes, joined by Gifted Bama. ZZ's on his way in the building. Every Tuesday, we're here live. Fellas, it's been a lot to go on around the NBA. I know right now NFL free agency is going on, but a lot of storylines still around the NBA. One of them that just popped out not too long ago in regards to Kevin Durant and the Suns. We kind of all known that the Suns were shopping Kevin Durant around the trade deadline. Couldn't necessarily come up with something. Kevin Durant also came out and said that he didn't necessarily want to be traded in the middle of the season. Seems like the Suns right now are open to both trading him and Devin Booker or Devin Booker, depending on who they can get the most back from. We've also gotten some details in regards to what they feel like the market is for Kevin Durant as far as they're searching for right now. And this one comes from AZ Central. The Arizona Republic says this. Sources inform the Republic that the most ideal return on a Durant trade is regaining 3 first-round picks and a young player as part of a multi-team deal tied to getting under the second tax apron. What do you guys think about that return for Kevin Durant? Is that something that could realistically happen? And do you think the Suns are going to be successful moving Kevin Durant this offseason?
Well, it does confirm what we were saying last episode. Ironically, the Suns are going to get a lesser return than what they traded to get Kevin Durant. We kind of knew that was going to be a thing that was completely unavoidable. The interesting part is they said a young player. They didn't say young star. And I'm really, really focused on the keywords of that, right? Because it's different if they say we want like an all-star player who's young. They said young player, which means it could be a player that might not be a star, but maybe has star potential, but a young player. And the real kicker is the 3 first-round picks. That's the reason why, for me, I said the Mavericks to me are out because they don't have the assets that the Suns would want. If they want 3 first-round picks, which, Hayes, personally, I think that's cap. I think they're saying 3 so they can get 2, in my opinion. But even if it's that takes those other teams that don't have the draft picks out of it. But also, you need to have a young player that ideally can still put the Suns under the second apron on whatever extension he's on. So I'm very interested to see how this happens. Also, I did my homework, Hayes. You can let me know if I'm wrong. Aren't the Suns still currently over the second apron, which means they can't aggregate salary, which makes it harder to trade them?
Yeah, there's still about $10 million over the second tax apron. And going into the next offseason, they're slated right now to be about $12 million over the second tax apron.
So then it's going to be a lot harder to trade them if you can't have multiple contracts go out.
Yeah.
Tough.
Bim?
Man, that's why I like being a casual old head. I told y'all, man, all signs point towards Detroit. That's the only team that can really afford that type of what they asking for. Either from either one superstar. Like that's damn near the only team that can mess with it for as well. I can think so. Young player, multiple first round draft picks. Detroit got that. Especially how they've been playing. They in a win now mode. Or I mean, I guess you could say win now mode. I don't even know what you would call it, but they balling. I feel like they trying to make a push. That next push, KD will probably help them make that next push. I mean, I feel like the Suns, it's business, dog. Of course, they're gonna ask for all of that because, I mean, bro, you paid the arm and the leg to get them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, shit, bro. What else do you expect them to do? I know it sounds crazy, but it's like, I mean, what do you expect after they gave up all that to get them? So it's like, shit, I gotta get something. But yeah, I mean, for as KD, what his attitude is, I think Detroit like the only team that makes sense. They got those type of resources to spend on a player, though.
The problem with Detroit, though, is that Detroit doesn't have the contracts. Like, you got to keep in mind, you can't aggregate salaries. Like, they don't have any big contracts other than Cade.
Yeah.
And so because of that, like, it's going to be a lot harder for them to get that done. Because, I mean, you look at their largest contract in Detroit. I just want to pull it up just to make sure I'm not tripping. Fact check myself on it. Their largest contract is Tobias Harris with 25. That barely gets you half of the way there for Kevin Durant's contract. If you're looking at teams that have like the contract, the Rockets are a team that fits the bill as well.
Gotta be the Rockets,
mainly because they have Fred VanVleet's contract, which I think is $40 million. That gets you most of the way there. They have multiple draft picks as well. It's around the same time of this, we heard that the Minnesota Timberwolves are prepared this offseason to make a a big offer for Kevin Durant, but even they don't necessarily have the contracts to get it done. Them being in the second tax apron is what's going to make this a really tough needle to thread, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's why I kept saying Houston, because above all else, they have picks and they have the contracts. And to me, like those are the two definites to try to make it happen. Now, the interesting part again is the other balance in this is Phoenix doesn't seem to want to be a cold-blooded team where they trade them wherever they want, or they just trade them for like the best package. They're also going to be listening to what Kevin Durant wants, which really complicates things because they're already over the second apron. So if he wants to go to a team that doesn't have what Phoenix wants, where is the compromise going to be made? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they can make a precursor move, like trying to find a team to dump Grayson Allen off for something that can get them under the second tax apron.
That's
they
possible.
Don't take all that back, which would free up a lot of that. If they're able to make a precursor trade to get under the first tax apron first and then move Kevin Durant, that opens up a lot of things for them to be able to do. But even then, it's still a tough needle to thread because they still got a lot of guaranteed contracts going into next year as well. So the contracts they take back would have to be ones they can either flip or ones that are not. It's
got to be expiring contracts, basically. Yeah.
The Phoenix Suns are the perfect example of why you do not go into the second tax apron unless you are absolutely sure on the roster that you have.
Especially not for a player like Bradley Beal, by the way, which again, I said when they initially made the trade, if this was some other star level player that was a really good player, better than Bradley Beal, that wasn't injury prone, then okay, I can maybe understand you buying the bullet more. But doing it for Bradley Beal, where he's not giving you the same impact you need him to give you, it's kind of asinine. That's why the Suns, even with the Mavericks haze, losing Kyrie Irving, losing Anthony Davis, losing PJ Watson, right? Losing Derek Lively. The Suns are still not above them in the seedings right now. They're still losing games, right? I watched the Memphis game last night. They were up in the game and they choked it away.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's a really, really tough spot for the Suns right now.
Yeah, I don't know what the Suns are going to do, but that brings you that brings us to the next part of this, that the Suns apparently, who initially had the talk was that they did not want to move on from Devin Booker, that they wanted to try to rebuild something around Devin Booker if they can. Same report comes out and says this, that they are now, basically the goal is to move either Durant, and if they can't move Durant, they would be willing to move Booker, where they feel like they can get 4 first-round picks and a rising star in its third or fourth year for Devin Booker.
I'm gonna let Bama. Bama have that one. That's funny to me.
So pretty much based off what I got, they just like, bro, we might as well just blow this all up and
that's what it sounds like.
Go rebuild mode. Because I mean, and then this would bring my question to you guys, because y'all talking about this player empowerment stuff. So yes, you could initially say them acquiring Kevin Durant is their move, right? But wouldn't you say Kevin Durant requesting Bradley Beal and them having to give up all that? Shouldn't that fall more on Durant, since
that's what we said last week?
Yeah, that's exactly what we said.
Also this, which leads to this, would that player empowerment start to diminish once situations like this come around more frequently, where it don't work and you damn near pretty much just sabotage the whole team? Because before Durant got there, wasn't it like 3 years? They was in the finals 3 years ago. 3 years before that? Or was
pretty
22?
Maybe 2 years ago, because
before they got Durant, I think, wasn't it the year before they got Durant? They were in the finals?
I think it was the year before, because
I think the year before. Yeah.
So but I'm just saying that to say this. So you talking about a team that was in the finals. We thought Durant would easily get them back to the finals, just adding him. He was like, no, we could add this dude, and now you literally you go from being in the finals to thinking you got a piece to make you a consistent contender, to those pieces bringing in more pieces to now where you in rebuild mode. Like, so do you think the player empowerment is going to diminish behind situations like this if they happen more and more?
That's a great question, but every time, like, we've seen this situation fail every time I'm like, oh, we're starting to see the beginning of the end of the player empowerment movement, and the answer has still been no so far. Like, it's been no. Like, LeBron's a terrible GM. Kevin Durant's been a terrible GM. Everybody's been a terrible GM, but yet here's the thing. I don't think that the player empowerment era truly ends until this generation of stars is retired, meaning LeBron, the KD, the Stephs, those guys. I think it may go away with those guys, and it may slowly rise up again with the next crop of stars that come after them. But I think we're going to have a period of it going back to business as usual for sure. But I think you got, as long as these guys who have been the elder statesmen of the league, who've been around, you're still always going to have some form of the player empowerment movement.
I have a different take on this, Hayes. Are you ready?
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
The results of player empowerment are the reason why we have the new CBA.
True.
This new CBA exists because of players like Ben Simmons doing what he did under contract. Players like Zion Williamson, right, doing what he did. This new CBA exists to tax team construction, to make players say, if you want the max, you have to stay here. If you don't, these other teams cannot give you the same level. It's meant to incentivize these players to stay in the same place. And more importantly, to encourage player movement by having such a strict cap in place. So the next time a team thinks about making a trade for a third guy, they reconsider it, because if we're over the second apron and we don't win, we're cooked. So the point of it is, to me, player empowerment has had so many ways where it hasn't worked. That's the reason why we have our new CBA. To me, that is a direct result of the player empowerment era.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. I think that that's when you talk about all the new avenues in the CBA, like we saw for so long that players would sign their contract extension with their teams to get their full max money and then immediately request a trade within the first year of signing the extension, right? So like you're seeing things slowly be worked in, and that's just always how it goes, right? Like changes come in the NBA. Eventually there's a new CBA. They counteract with what happened the previous 5-10 years, and then players adapt to that over the next 10 years. And it's just an ebb and flow. It'll keep happening. It'll be the same cycle that we're in until the end of time for the most part.
Yeah, I feel like the stars that have been so used to player empowerment are still playing at a high level, which you don't really see many guys into their late 30s play at this high of a level. Mm-hmm. So that's why this is still a thing. I do think it's going to die down a tad bit from what it was. However, at the end of the day, if you're a top 5 player, you're going to have power. That's just how the NBA works. If you're that talented of a basketball player and you're gettable from other teams want to do whatever they can to set themselves aside from the pack and show everyone, hey, we can get him because we're different from them. We'll do this for you. We'll do that for you. That's going to always exist in the NBA until the entire structure of how salaries are doled out changes, in my opinion. I just think that'll never leave.
What's going on, ZZ? Glad to have you in the
What's
building.
good? What's good, y'all? How we doing? What we talking about?
We good. We talking about the Suns and the current situation with what they're looking to get back for Kevin Durant this summer, and then also the fact that they're willing to move on from Devin Booker if they can't move on from Kevin Durant, which is initially what they did not want to do. So it seems like they're ready and prepared to take the nuclear option, in my opinion, which was the next thing that we're going to talk about. You can hop right into this. I personally think where the Suns are right now, they need to just go ahead and move both anyway. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think, I mean, we talked about it last week. Like the way that the Suns went from a team that was on the up and up, essentially, once we got to the bubble when they had won 8 straight, and then they end up getting Chris Paul, and then they end up getting DeAndre and Jay Crowder and Cam Johnson and the whole crew, and they had a competent team. They had Monty Williams, a competent coach. This is a team that once won 60 plus games not too long ago. And now they're in a situation where they're battling for the 10th seed. So it sucks. But at the same time, the Suns fell victim to the trap, bro. So they did the shit to themselves. They said, ooh, championship window. We got a taste of it, right? You go to the NBA Finals, Giannis 50 pieces you. And then the moment that you lose, let's not build off what we already did, like the Cavaliers did by re-signing all of the players from last year in the postseason that were big in their starting lineup, essential to their core. Let's not do what they did. Let's just blow shit up and go get Kevin Durant. Now, I'm not saying Kevin Durant is a scrub or anything. Don't go get him. But at the same time, if you're in a situation where you have good assets, you're not going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Not everybody gets to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Bless you, Gifted. Not everybody gets to be them. But if you have assets that you can hold on to and manipulate and figure out ways to move this piece here to get this piece there, if you have the capability and the resources to do that, take hold of that, keep on to that, hold on to that, right? Don't throw everything on the table and completely mess up your future at the hopes of winning a championship. I get it. It's easier said than done. And in the Suns' case, you have Devin Booker, who's been your longest tenured veteran. So at this point, because you're in purgatory, they don't own their picks until 2032, isn't it, or whatever? So like they're in a situation where it's win or bust, and it's going to be a lot of busting, like unfortunately. So screw it, blow it all up. What do you have left to do? The Mavs are going to be in this situation in 2.5 years where it's like, all right, bro, we did all that to get to here. We have nothing to show for it. What do we do now? You move on, you blow it up, you restart, you turn the game off, wait 5 minutes, and then turn that bitch back on. Like that's what you have to do at this point. So they're gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, my only pushback to blowing it up completely is the idea that Booker isn't past his prime yet. I think he's still within his prime years. And realistically, like if you're able to find a way to get under the second apron after the Durant deal, you can still keep a really good player there, build up some cap space, and then try to get you another guy to pair with Booker. That possibility is still there. And I will say this, like we make it sound so easy. Every team has the power at any given point to blow up their entire roster. That does not guarantee because you blow up your roster, you're going to reach a high level. We saw the Kings do it. They've been bad for a decade plus. They might be trending that way again. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My fault. Even more than a decade, right? So like it's so easy to just say that, but in context of like who Phoenix is, I don't think Phoenix has ever gotten some like crazy star free agent to really change their whole destiny. All they've known for all these years has been Devin Booker. To me, what he means to the franchise and the fan base, I feel like it's a lot. And to get off of that just for I would say, just for them to say we have all these picks. If you don't hit on those picks, which we've seen Phoenix draft with Devin Booker, by the way, they never hit on draft picks. They normally have terrible drafts. Drafting Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic. Unless that whole front office is cleaned out and that doesn't exist, then maybe I could buy that. But the fact that they don't hit on their draft picks makes me feel like they're very hesitant to just trade Booker for anything.
Don't be nasty though. Marvin Bagley actually was nice.
No,
like,
I'm gonna be nasty.
Marvin Bagley nice at?
What are you talking about? Coming out of high school when he was doing the pro run?
We're talking about in the NBA.
He buzzed. I'm talking about you. That's hindsight, but we talking about draft.
No, it's not. No. It's not hindsight to say you shouldn't draft Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic. At the moment, I was dumb. At the moment, I was dumb.
How do you know?
At the moment, that was dumb.
Bagley was nice.
I agree. Luka was clearly better.
Was going to be generation. Like people were talking about Luka 2 years before he was going to be drafted.
But hey,
people were talking about Luka at 16.
But Zizi, I know you remember this. So you mean to tell me that video?
Wait, my footage, DeAndre Ayton. I'm tripping.
That video footage they had of Marvin Bagley at 16 going crazy on James Harden and all them other pros up in there, bro. You cannot tell me you didn't think that Marvin Bagley was finna be a superstar in the NBA. Him at 16 having that type of display in that area with them pros, bro. It's the same thing as what's my boy Zach Wilson flicking that ball and fooling everybody, bro. Like it's so equivalent because you in your head you thinking a 16-year-old blocking shots, dunking on NBA
but that's
players.
Us as fans. Scouts, with people who literally all they do is get paid to watch.
They were all saying Luka was a no-brainer in that draft.
Good and bad. No, they don't have that excuse for Luka, who people were talking about when he was still a teenager as well, who was competing internationally against adults. No, I'm sorry. No, that was never a good idea. There was never anybody that looked at drafting Marvin Bagley and saying, yeah, that's a smart move there.
And even if we give the Suns grade, which again, they drafted DeAndre Ayton, but it's still the same thing for me. That doesn't change. Like it still should have been Luka. The Kings made that dumbass choice of having another chance and still getting Marvin Bagley. That's why they're bad. But even if you give the Suns grace with that, again, we can go to their drafts beforehand when they were really horrible. Dragon Bender. Are we serious? They had some horrible drafts.
Now, here's the thing. I can get behind that logic, Gifted, of you do got to look at the record of drafts. You do have to look at who they picked up. You do have to look at who they picked up over certain players. That is something that honestly I do factor in when it comes to how I can, judge a franchise, if you will, because it's like, all right, you have certain opportunities, you have what was it, Johnny Flynn getting picked over Steph Curry is forever going to go down in history as a dumbass move. But then again, Steph's probably looking at it like, damn, I didn't want to end up in cold ass Minnesota, like. Thank God, like you know what I'm saying. Like I dodged a bullet. So in some aspects, sure, but the fact, and I think it was what was it, two guards that went over Steph. Now that's something that's actually kind of crazy. Like like that's something that you kind of let it slide a little bit, but two is like, all right, you pushing it, nigga. Did you see what he just did in March Madness over both?
Was tough at Syracuse though. He looked tough though.
Look,
I'm going tough in that tourney, man.
Let it ride.
I feel you. Hey, I feel you. I mean, but if you're looking at the history of the Phoenix Suns draft, because let's just go over it real quick. Since drafting Devin Booker, just look at their first round picks. Dragon Bender, 4th overall. Okay. Skal Labissiere, 28th overall. Out the league. What, 2 years later? Josh Jackson.
Yeah, Josh Jackson. Damn, that's a memory right there.
DeAndre Ayton. Mm-hmm. Cool. Zaire Smith, number 16th overall in 2018. Jarrett Culver, 6th overall in 2019. Ooh. I don't even think he's still in the league either.
He's gone.
Jalen Smith, number 10 overall in 2020. He's with the Bulls right now. 2021, 29th overall, Day'Ron Sharpe.
So
none of those guys are still on the team.
None of them
in the league. You can't miss on that many first round picks. You just can't miss on that many first round picks.
And that's why I'm saying the idea of them blowing up the team is
round picks.
A little harder, man.
Can you look and see who went after them?
I'd have to pull up each draft, but hold on, give me a second.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean I could get it done, but give me 1 second.
Yeah.
To your point, yeah, like it's bad. All right, it's just bad. Now to get this point about like you can't really say blow it up and have faith in that. True, but at the same time, after all them names that Hayes just listed, if I'm Devin Booker, get me out of here at this point, at this particular moment in time, because you have to look at the bigger picture. You are financially restrained from things that you can do as an organization. Not to mention the fact that the idea of you trying to improve your team this year, once you heard Jimmy Butler was in trade talks, required potentially Bradley Beal waiving his no trade clause. You're paying that nigga $50 million a year to give you 17.8 points per game. That is not good. And the fact that he said, yeah, and then the fact that he even has an option to say, nah, I'm good right here. Look, what you gonna do? You can't do nothing about that, right? Now you can look. We talked about the Wizards giving him that contract and everything, and how it was stupid then and it's stupid now, right? If I'm Devin Booker, you have a 36, 37-year-old Kevin Durant who is squeezing out every inch of prime years that he can, or prime statistics that he can at 26, 27 a game. Worth getting praised, don't get me wrong. But like we said before, somebody in the chat said it. The outside pieces ain't enough in the Western Conference. If this was the Eastern Conference, we're having a different conversation. Y'all could be the 9th seed and potentially, make something shake. It's the Western Conference. At the top of this beast is a defensive unit in Oklahoma City who would smoke you out in 4. Even in the middle of the pack is a Golden State Warriors team that would also probably smoke you out in 4, right? But below that is a Minnesota team that did smoke you out in 4. Only difference is they got Julius Randle this year. Now, are y'all still going to take Minnesota in a series over Phoenix or what? I would too. So it's like all of your options are futile, because the game that they had the other night against the Dallas Mavericks, when the Mavericks had 7 fucking players, that game was somehow close. That game, maybe not up until like the last minute and 30, but that shit was close for the first 3.5 quarters, with 7 players. And I'm watching this game saying, yeah, they're not doing nothing. They're not doing nothing at all.
Yeah.
What can they do? So yeah.
Just at the 16 and 17 draft, we're just going to look at that for right now. After Dragon Bender, these are the players that were drafted: Buddy Hield, Jamal Murray, Jakob Poeltl, Domantas Sabonis.
Like, do you see the names we talking about after that?
That's just after that. Let's go to the 2017 draft. After they drafted Josh Jackson, number 4 overall, De'Aaron Fox, number 5, Laurie Marketing came at number 7, Zach Collins at number 10, Malik Monk at number 11, Donovan Mitchell at number 13, Bam Adebayo at number 14.
Bro, no, like, come on.
Just the players they missed out on is damn near a championship level team.
Yeah.
Insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they gonna do? Are they officially cooked? And if they are, scale of 1 to 10.
But that's why I'm saying the idea of like trading Booker, like, I know that sounds really good before a team that don't hit on their picks. You might not make it back.
Yeah,
Look,
but
and
they may not make it back, Gifty. You're right in that. But here's the thing: like, do you want to take? And this is the risk that they have to ask themselves: do you want to take a better chance at more draft picks, or do you want to try to gear this thing up around Devin Booker, and then 2-3 years later realize the same thing? We aren't going to be able to do something, and then you move them or lose them anyway.
Yeah,
that's
valid too, honestly.
So it's a tough situation to be in, and it's really of the Suns' own doing. That's the thing that makes it so bad. It's
100%.
of the Suns' own doing.
Mm-hmm.
Self-inflicted right there.
I just say blow it up, fire that GM then.
Oh, facts. If you got to blow it up,
clean house with everybody.
Yeah, everybody got to go.
You know what I'm saying? Front office and players.
If you get to the point where you blowing shit up like that,
everything got to go at that point to me. Yeah.
So
because at first they said they wouldn't open the trade, KD. Now they open, let you know what they want for.
We knew that was cap from the beginning.
They said they wasn't open to trading Booker. Now they let you know what they want. Like once they start giving you these like players and what they want, bro.
Yes.
Like, bro. So obviously they in rebuild mode. Like in my head, that's what went through my head.
Yeah.
Instantly
Shit,
blow
at this
it up,
point, they're gonna
fire
be stuck
everybody.
building around Bradley Beal.
Bro, anytime a team out of nowhere, because Hayes, I could have sworn we talked about this a year ago, right? Anytime a team in the offseason randomly says, we don't want to trade Kevin Durant, who said you did?
We have no intention of trading Kevin Durant.
No one said you did. So instantly, Hayes, I said that means they do want to trade Kevin Durant. And not even 6 months later, now they trying to find packages. So, yeah, bro. Hey, tough.
Crazy, bro.
It's tough. It's a tough position to be in. Don't envy it at all. Hopefully they can find clarity. But let's move into the title topic for today. Talk about finding clarity, man.
Yeah.
MVP race. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic. They had back-to-back games against each other. The team split. I think they split their season series as well, if I'm not mistaken, out of the 4 games. I could be mistaken on that one. A lot of people are using this to kind of solidify their MVP talks. And I think the conversation really goes here, right? And in a conversation like this, I think it's important not to remember you don't have to knock one player to really have this conversation because both are having amazing seasons. Jokic is having a transcendent season. Out of all the seasons that Jokic has had, this may be the best one. This is one of the best seasons statistically that you're seeing in NBA history. Shai's having an amazing season as well, leading the NBA in scoring. We already know defensively, he brings another level defensively than what Jokic brings as well. His team's number 1, winning by the highest point differential. And so it makes a really interesting conversation on this as far as some people look at the MVP as going to the best player on the best team. Some look at it as the player having the best individual season or the player that raises the ceiling of their team more than anybody else. I think that this is one of the most unique MVP conversations that we can have in the last 10 years. How you guys feeling about the way this is going?
To your point about the conversation about what the MVP means. I remember in Indiana, Gifted, I think you were with me on the live panel. But I don't know if y'all remember me going back and forth with Spipa about Derrick Rose and LeBron James. Now, full bias aside, because I am the biggest Derrick Rose fan you'll ever meet in your life, I told Swiper straight up, dude, when it comes to the regular season MVP award, why have I heard over the years that the reason that Rose didn't deserve it is because he didn't beat LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals? Why am I hearing playoff talk over a regular season award in which that same regular season, when LeBron saw Derrick Rose in the regular season 3 times, he beat him this many times? So When we're talking about the regular season award, the regular season MVP, and you look at narrative, that stuff plays a part in it. It is what it is. Every year, I will say, for some reason, the criteria shifts. Like in my personal opinion. But then when you start getting into these conversations, like you just said, Hayes, when you get to the point where you got to start comparing greatness, individual greatness in the regular season, somebody gonna get left out. Now, James Harden in 2018, right? When he won MVP, that was a couple of years before that where people were saying he deserved it in 2015, 2017, when Russ was a 6 seed, but Harden was at the top of the conference. It's just so you get to that point where you're naturally going to have to pick a side. Now we're in a situation where we have two MVP candidates that it's a clear-cut situation, but in my opinion, Giannis is slightly underrated because he's quietly averaging 31 and 12, and we just don't talk about it. But we used to that, right? It is what it is. The focal point of the MVP race this year is on SGA, the man that is leading a team that last year was the youngest 1 seed in history, right? Meanwhile, Nikola Jokic is putting together an amazing season as well. They end up barely splitting the top 2 seeds. Now, Gifted, didn't you point out last week, the Oklahoma City Thunder are how many games is it a difference between the 1 seed and like the 2nd to 12th seed? You said something about that last week.
Yeah, the 2 seed is closer to the I believe the 10 seed than they are something to the OKC last I checked was 11 games ahead of Denver.
Now look, me factoring in the fact that SGA is not only leading the league in scoring, right? When we have these MVP talks in past years, I specifically remember the only reason that people were giving Joel the nod over Jokic at any point in that season was because they leaned on two-way play. Not only was he leading the league in scoring, but he could give you the defense that Nikola Jokic lacks because he has the mobility of a Serbian ice cream truck, but we love him anyway. With SGA, this man is giving you both elite offense and elite defense. Not to mention, was missing his second-hand man in Chet when he went down in late November, early December, and was gone for God knows how long, and they still stayed ahead of everybody else in that conference. When you think about it, I hear people say, Jokic deserves it because if he wasn't on the Nuggets, they would be a player. Oh, bro, Jokic runs the offense runs through Jokic on his team. The same exact thing happens for SGA in Oklahoma City. And he's the point guard, right? So his assists, his playmaking gets better this year. His shooting gets better this year. Most 30-point games in the league so far this season. Most 40-point games so far this season. Most 50-point games. So he has all these credentials. Yet, might I say, Nikola Jokic this season, I would say he would deserve, based off of his numbers alone, he would deserve it this year more than he did last year. But it is what it is. So this is, I always feel like I say this every year. MVP race is really close. In this one right here, for this reason, I ask myself, how many boxes does SGA check off this year? Right? Lead best player on the best team in the league. And honestly, if you ask most people, I feel like they'd say OKC over the Cavs, right? 1 seeds. You picked Oklahoma City, right? Best player on the best team, best player on the best defense in the league, and an elite two-way defensive player at his position, right? Leads the league in points. How many more boxes does he need? Did it without Chet Holmgren for the majority of the first part of this year, kept his team atop the Western Conference, right? How many boxes is left to check for SGA? That's all I'm saying. That's where I'm at right now with it. But what y'all think?
I mean, my thing with this race is I think Jokic is having an all-time season, right? I think this is Jokic's best season as a pro. I would agree with Hayes on that. My thing with Shea, though, is what people always do is they either praise the team that has the most wins or praise a player dragging a team that would be nothing without him to relevance, right? Now, let's go back to what we said preseason, right? Many people were saying for Jokic to win the MVP, he would need to at least be a top 3 seed, right? But the reason why that was being said is because many people thought OKC would be the 1 seed. So their argument was, okay, if Jokic is on a team that is a 3 seed, he can beat out Shea again, even if they're the 1 seed again. What people didn't think, however, is that the gap between the 1 seed and the 2 seed would be 11 games. See, when people say top 3 seed, we're thinking, okay, if there's like a 5 or 6 game difference, right, okay, fine. When you double that in a season where your biggest acquisition in the offseason was Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Early in the season, Isaiah Hartenstein misses a chunk of games. At the same time, by the way, Chet Holmgren misses a ton of games. You're still winning games, doesn't matter, right? We love to use on-offs to boost players up. Oh, this player's a +9. And then when he's off, they're like, oh my God, they're really bad. They're like a -12, like bad, right? What we don't do enough is highlighting the importance of on. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a +18 when he's on. That's higher than Jokic. That leads the entire NBA. That is not regular. That means when he's on the floor, they're performing at an all-time level. This OKC team that has not been healthy, by the way, has the second best net rating of any team all time. That's what they're on. And for Shai, just like Jokic, his argument is durability. I play every single game. I'm averaging 32 a game. I'm one of the most efficient scorers in isolation this season as well. And more importantly, I also contribute to our defensive end. Even though I think there's a bevy of OKC defenders that are better than Shai, Shai still provides well. And the biggest thing that no one talks about is offense impacts defense. Because Shai can be a high caliber offensive player, he's able to make lineups be more defensively leaning. Because I'm such a good offensive player, you can put defenders around me because I can make the offense viable. I can make the offense manageable enough to where we can still lead the league in defense. That specifically impacts what OKC can be. So when people say, well, if you take Shai off of this team, they're going to still be a good team. Well, these lineups that are, don't work without Shai. If you take Shai off, you can't play all of these defensive players because your offense is going to be ass. And we know in the NBA, you cannot win with an ass offense. It just can't happen. So to me, Shai doesn't get enough credit there. But I'll say this. What's going to hurt this conversation the most, Jalen Williams just got hurt again. And if he misses a significant chunk of time, that's going to mean they are requiring more of Shai to output even more. And if they continue to win games at the same clip despite that, I fail to see how he will not finish out this season as the MVP.
Good, just cook. I go ahead, Bama. Follow that up.
I mean, it ain't too much to say, man. I'm kind of like of this. I feel like you shouldn't have to say this person doing better than that person. It's either does he deserve it or not. Does Joker deserve the MVP? Yes. But does Shai deserve the MVP? Yes. So if Shai wins the MVP, it's not, Joker got snubbed because of X, Y, and Z. No, was he playing well enough to win that damn award? Yes, absolutely. And he was. And then the fact that you brought up Gifted, I forgot about this. He didn't have Chet. He didn't have the black dude, Hardenstein.
Bro, his dad being black is still one of the craziest things.
Hilarious, bro.
When social media collectively realized his dad was black, that was one of the greatest days.
That was great.
Media history.
Facts.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was crazy. But
Martin Luther King couldn't name it that day.
That's like when people found out my dad was white. It was crazy.
I just like what Gifted was saying though. I didn't realize all of those players was out. And then for the second thing you said, second place is closer to the 9th or 10th seed than they are to the first seed, than the first seed being closer to the second. That speaks to Shai just being the engine that drives that whole team. Like it to me, that is exactly what a most valuable player is. Because if you remove Shai, I don't think they are even in playoff contention. They hollering at that team would be good without Shai. Like you said, especially in the West, if you can't put the ball in the hoop, bro, you cook, bro. Like I'm not entertaining none of that. So and then he goes out and he plays every night. For him to play on the wing and play every night, I mean, I rock with Shai. I rock with both of them. I'm not mad either one of them win. I'm just of this. Like, if Shai win, no one should be mad. If Joker win, nobody should be mad because they both have arguments. You know what I mean? Like, now if somebody come out of nowhere like Trae Young and stuff, like I can feel that. Like, yeah, bro, like this be upset, just a random name. But I'm just saying, somebody that shouldn't deserve it, I can feel it. But these two dudes are playing out of their mind. And I just say to appreciate what they're doing right now, you know?
Here's something else too to add to what you just said, Bama. Here's something that I feel like people aren't even taking into consideration. here's one thing I'll say to Bama's point. If Jokic wins, it's not like he doesn't deserve it. Nobody should be upset with anything. If SGA wins it, it's not like he doesn't deserve it. Nobody should be upset. The reason I say that more for SGA than I do for Jokic is mainly because Jokic is already sitting on 3 MVPs. I don't think this nigga is losing sleep or his horses. I think they're going to be fine, regardless of if he gets an MVP or not, a 4th MVP or not.
And he won last year when Shea was already the 1 seed, and then Shea doubled up with more wins the following year with a better season too.
Exactly. Not to mention, Gifted, the fact that nobody has been talking about this enough. The Oklahoma City Thunder, in comparison to Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, are way ahead of schedule on their own rebuild. When you look back at this team 3 years ago in the 2022 season, when the Warriors won the NBA championship, the Oklahoma City Thunder were 24 and 58.
Yeah.
3 seasons ago. 3 seasons ago, right? Chet comes through, right? We got to wait a year to get him right. He comes through, gets hurt his first year. We got to wait a whole nother year. They end up as the 1 seed when he gets back. They end up as the 1 seed again, despite him not being there for 39 games throughout this year. In the first part of the year, missing time. And Isaiah Hartenstein, their biggest acquisition, like Gifted said, the one that they needed the most when everybody was screaming, yeah, they lost because they need a big man. And then they get iHeart and they lose him, and they're still the 1 seed.
And they have no bigs still winning games.
It's insane. It's insane. So for me, like I said, nobody really takes that into consideration, the fact that they are so far ahead of their own rebuilding schedule, and they are about to be back-to-back number 1 seeds in the Western Conference. I don't see how there's really a conversation about Shea without Shea's name being first. I really don't, because like I said to y'all earlier, how many more boxes does SGA need to check off? Or how many more goalposts does everybody need to move because they can't accept that the Thunder are here, bro? Shea is here. That is your MVP. I'm sorry. It matters.
So you bring up an interesting thing because you talked about Jokic winning the MVPs that he had, which means that I think that points towards voter fatigue being the thing. But should it? Like, if we're talking about in fairness, should voter fatigue be something that factors into MVP voting?
If it was up to me, Hayes, he would have 4 right now, because I felt like the MVP, I feel like the year where we saw Joel Embiid when he shouldn't have won that. I felt like the narrative was they're losing these games to bottom feeders. Yeah, but that was after they clinched the 1 seed. And for the entire season up to that point, Jokic was outplaying Joel Embiid. And it was clearly him. But then all the narratives about he's white, so that's why this is happening, all this and all that. And then when they started to lose games, the amount of clips that they showed of Jokic's defense to highlight why he shouldn't win it, and then the biggest thing that really killed me the most, Hayes, which made no sense to me, they were saying, should we give the MVP to a guy that hasn't proven he can win a championship playing the way that he does? I'm like, why does that matter when you're about to give it? You're giving MVP to Joel Embiid, who also has not done the same shit. And then right after that, Jokic won the MVP. You know what I'm saying? So no, sorry, I'm wrong. Won the NBA championship despite not getting the MVP the literal same season. Right. So it's so weird how the goalpost does move. I understand, but to me, I could understand Jokic winning it last year and Shea not winning it, even though I feel like Shea had a great claim. For Shea to come back, double it up, have a much better season than last year, where this is a all-time guard season. Right. And again, for you to be on a 68 win pace when you have multiple key players going down, getting hurt, that speaks to your value. Like I don't think I'm going to be mad if Jokic wins it, but I do think I'm going to be a little annoyed considering everything Shea has done with his team to bridge the gap. Because again, MVP isn't just about who's having the best. I think Jokic is still the best player in the world, but I think that what Shea has done for his team and how he's played this season is enough to justify him winning MVP over Jokic.
And
that's me.
Yeah, another thing too, the last point you just made, if a player is in a tight MVP, take LeBron 2011, right? He came in third in MVP, but LeBron fans don't like to talk about that. But he didn't win it, right?
Yeah.
He also didn't win the championship. So what did LeBron do the next season? Double back, came back, way more efficient, way more locked in.
Great season.
phenomenal regular season, wins the MVP, gets into the playoffs. He's not done there though, and that's the thing that you were pointing to about Jokic, which makes me think, in hindsight, yeah, he probably could have taken it in 2023 over Joel Embiid. Joel, looking back on it, Joel was so locked in on the award itself.
He wanted it so bad that year,
He
bro.
wanted it so bad. Jokic, and I remember thinking this at the time, like Jokic was playing it smart. Like, look, if he wants it, paraphrasing, if he wants it, cool. If I get it, cool. I'm trying to win a championship. That's what I'm trying to do. The narrative you brought up, should we give it to him based on the fact that he hasn't won his way? Jokic was hearing that shit and said, I'm going to go win a championship, whether you give me MVP or not. The playoff run that Nikola Jokic went on after Joel got that championship and held that shit up.
Great run.
Averaging, insane numbers. 30-point triple-double, damn near. So, for me, moments like that where you take a situation like Shea last year, yeah, Nikola Jokic, you could say he definitely deserved to win it, but Shea looked at it and doubled down and said, all right, I'm going to come back stronger, more efficient, average more points, right? Carry more of a load. And now you're at a point, like I said, where it's like, what in the words of Jason Tatum, what they gonna say now? Like that's where I'm at right now.
The only thing that really scared me with Shea winning that is how much gravity does that player efficiency rating weigh? Because if that pull a lot of weight right there,
well,
I don't see no way you don't give it to Joker. Because like Joker having a historical run for us in that category too. I'm talking about for us over Jordan, Will, all of them dudes for us efficiency rating as well. Like, I don't know how much weight that pulls in the NBA though, but if it pulls a lot of weight, I ain't gonna lie to it. It's gonna be hard for Shea to win it again this year, bro.
I mean,
even though I want Shea to win, I want Shea.
Yeah,
I think it's Shea's to
I
lose.
want Shea to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if that player efficiency rating has a lot of weight in the NBA, because I was just looking at some, they was like he up there like he did this like 6 consecutive times in a row or something like that, where he had like a crazy high player efficiency rating. If that holds a lot of weight, dog, and him having that historical player efficiency rating this year, I don't know.
I mean, but here's the thing: like player efficiency rating is an advanced stat, but if we're going to look at that and weigh that, let's weigh everything. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right now is averaging almost 2 points more per possession than he did last year. Already efficient. His effective field goal shooting percentage is up almost 2% more than what it was last year. Turnover percentage down 2%. His rebounding percentage is up almost 3% again because he played with no bigs the majority of the season. Players that he's guarding is shooting almost 3% worse than their season average when he's guarding them. Like, there's a lot of numbers that we could throw in right now. Shea is the way that he's increased as well.
He has a higher on than Jokic.
Already on what could have been an MVP season last year is crazy.
Yep, the true shooting percentage too. I just looked at it. Jokic is shooting 66% true shooting. Shea shooting like 64%, which for a guard, oh my god! And to Bama's point about Jokic. The thing about Jokic that I love the most is that true shooting percentage numbers, like he shits those every morning.
Kills him.
Yeah, like it's nothing to him anymore, right? So that almost is, and I feel like over the next like 6-7 years, it's gonna get to a point where we're gonna look back at Jokic's numbers, and that's gonna be what the standard might be of how you can really guard, how effective a center, even just a player could be from a scoring perspective, right? When you factor in the fact that his true shooting percentage, the numbers for a big are typically higher anyway because they're closer to the rim regardless. Shit, DeAndre Jordan's back in the day. I mean, damn, Chris Paul was giving that nigga endorsements on endorsements. But still, the fact that SGA is shooting 2% worse true shooting than Nikola Jokic, who we know is the godfather of true shooting, you know? Like Hayes said, like what more do you want? Like what are we doing here? What else? Like, any more questions that you have about SGA's performance this year? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, for me, like the thing that makes us different is it's not just the wins, it's not just how well Shea's played, but this is the one year where even if you want to take the argument to advanced stats again, Shea has fights there. Shea has a higher plus on than Jokic does. We've never, like, there hasn't been another player contesting with Jokic for MVP that can say my team is better when I'm on the floor than your team is when you are on the floor. Shea can say that. Shea also is slightly edging him in EPM. That's a fun stat a lot of people love to use as well. So even the stat heads who like love to do those things have to concede that in certain areas, Shea is right there with Jokic, if not flat out better. And then again, my biggest point is when you go to the team argument, when OKC has also had its fair share of injuries and they're still at this pace, people love to say, right, they would be a good enough team to contend without Shea. My argument would be, if we just say Chet don't get hurt, if we say like now this team is on a 70+ win pace.
Right.
And now it's really different.
Yeah. It's a whole different conversation.
That's what
It's
I'm
a whole
saying.
different conversation. Damn, that's his, and it makes me think back to, I think it was his 2022 MVP that Jokic won, but I remember he was the 6th seed. So the argument of where would they be without him was way more valid because Jamal got hurt that year, MPJ got hurt that year.
He had to win that year. Like I just
Right.
Yeah.
That's where that argument holds weight, right? Then you fast forward into his latest MVP in 2023, right? He deserved that, or 2024, my bad. He deserved that one, right? It was a whole different conversation. He had those pieces and he was still giving you elite numbers.
And the wins weren't that far.
Exactly. And the wins weren't that far. You look at SGA, like you just said, if they have Chet and Ihart for the majority of the year, that defense that's already at historic levels
will be even more historic.
Case closed.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why, again, if Jokic wins it, I don't think I'm going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But there is a small part of me that will be like, how did he win it twice over the same guy when the same candidate comes back with more wins and a better version of himself? I would kind of feel a way about it. Yeah. But he's a good player, so
that's just, and that goes to the nature of MVP voting being like it really is. There's no standard to it because it could be a different criteria each year based on the storyline that year. Like it's MVP voting is just that's what it is, man. Because when you go and compare, once you get into comparing MVP season to season, and you look at really like the players that are around them and the seasons that they had, you can clearly see there's no criteria. It's just how the voters feel. And that's why I always say it shouldn't. But narrative plays a huge role in who gets voted in as MVP as well. It has a huge role. So
it
is what it is there, man. Any other thoughts on the MVP conversation other than Giannis is just sitting there at number 3, like, hey, I'm having a good season too, y'all.
I kind of feel bad for him, but at the same time, I don't, because I just think the other two candidates have a stronger argument than Giannis does. And also, like, I can't forget how Giannis started his season. This is a full season award. And even though Giannis and Dame were killing at the beginning of the season, they were losing a ton of games in a weaker conference. Both of these guys are making arguments in the West at 1 and 2 seeds respectfully. Right?
Yeah. Giannis is in this MVP race. I want to say he is what Tatum was last year. It's like, I
can't say that. I can't say that. That is disrespectful to Giannis.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
We just said in years past, we've seen the case of the best player on the best team.
Yeah.
The closest example of a potential of a multi-universe where Jason Tatum wins MVP last year for how dominant the Celtics were. 15, when Steph and the Warriors first broke out, Steph was averaging 24 a game, 6.5 assists, but Harden was giving you the individual numbers, right? But Steph was the best player on the best team. His numbers may not have looked as great compared to Harden, but relative to his team and his success for his team, it all made sense. Now, I'm not saying Jason Tatum deserved MVP last year whatsoever. I'm just saying if you take that Celtics team and put him in 2015, he definitely wins it that year, I feel like. So that's how much the MVP criteria has changed within the last 10 years. It's gone from best player, best team to best player in basketball to, you see what I'm saying? Like it's been all over the place. Harden, when he won it, when he was averaging 38 a game, at that point, it was a no-brainer. You had no choice. Russell Westbrook, his triple-double for a whole season, you really had no choice. Even though And then even in the years where Steph and Kevin Durant were there, I said this all the time. Steph Curry has been the best point guard in the league for a multitude of years.
Very long time. Yeah.
Right. Russell Westbrook in 2017 was averaging a triple-double. But would that be enough for you to say, hey, he was a better point guard than Steph? He was best point guard in the league that year. Not exactly. Steph doesn't get a shot at MVP despite the 67 win Warriors. Mind you, another person that could have gotten an MVP consideration, Kawhi Leonard for the Spurs.
Very good season, by the way. Very good season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we don't talk about it at all because that year the narrative wasn't best player on best team. It was, oh shit, Katie, you did what to Russ? All right, let's watch him a little bit closer this year.
But see, this is where people are going to call me a hater. I think the biggest difference though is Tatum is not close to those levels. Respectfully, like my problem with the Tatum conversation and you comparing it is Giannis is clearing Tatum this season as an individual performer. Still.
Right, 100%, 100%.
I respect Tatum, right? But my thing is this, right? When we're talking about Jason Tatum and where he is in these talks, Tatum is always like a tier below, right? Because to me, like the top guys right now is really Shea and Jokic in terms of performance and wins and like actual case. Then it's Giannis to me in his own tier. And then once we get a tier below, now here comes Tatum, right? Okay. That's kind of where I'm at. And in no disrespect, because I think Tatum is playing better than he did last year. But even if we go back to last year's case where we saw Boston win all these games, no one in their right mind was thinking Tatum had a better season than Luka Doncic. No one ever said he had a better regular season than Giannis. No one thought he was better than Shea during the regular season, at least. And then when you get down to it, it's like, yeah, like you're a good player, but that upper echelon, like we're still waiting on Tatum to have a regular season where he's consistently dominating. And I'll say this, right? At the start of the season, he was doing that shit. For 2 months, I was like, he is killing. And then, foot off the gas.
Yep. 100%.
It is what it is there, man. I do think Jokic is having a better individual season than Jason Tatum, but Jason Tatum also suffers from that thing that Jason plays with another player with Brown on his team, but even outside of that, I think when it comes to Tatum is that because he does so many things really, really well, but doesn't have that one thing that he's just amazing at, that is always going to hurt him in MVP type voting, right? True. Like to his credit, and I'm not knocking him as a player, he does a lot of shit.
He's the most versatile player in the league to me.
Yeah, but when you look at an MVP, especially in the storylines and things like that, especially this season, you're looking at, all right, what does he do that's better than everybody else in the league? And you can't really point to that with Jason Tatum.
That's the thing. I ended up having to say
if you really watch hoop though, if Jason Tatum really
feel like
attacking the rim, like
he's not closer than Shea in any way. No,
but it's almost like if you watch Tatum, it's like he tries to not just do one thing all game. But like even in the finals, how he created offense out of defense, him and Brown together, and how he was I don't know what. Maybe it was just because they sensed blood in the water, and Luka was tired and hurt and couldn't play no defense. But how he was attacking the rim in that series, bro, like it's no way you don't think that him at 6'10", 6'9", whatever height he is, bro, crazy athletic shape, bro. Thought he could be an elite slasher but it's just like, for me, it's like he settles for that weekend step.
It's the idea.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
that's everybody's thought.
Listen, I'm saying this. He's right because he's doing what's best for the team. If Jason Tatum, for example, wanted to all of a sudden go into me mode and no, I'm going to go out and get my MVP, I'm not saying he can't get it. But he's he's playing basketball the right way as far as impacting so many different areas of the game for that Boston Celtics team. And as long as that and him and Brown are on the team together, I just don't know if he ever gets higher than third in MVP vote.
Yeah, and again,
I agree with that.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I just think just be a better player though. Like all this stuff sounds great. Be better than Jokic. Be better. Like he's just not better, and that's fine. We see good players all the time be really good players. They're not better.
Yeah.
Period. Right. Love Russell Westbrook. Wasn't better than Steph. Wasn't better than Kevin Durant. It is what it is.
I think with Tatum, and to Hayes' point about him having Jaylen Brown, if the Celtics didn't have Jaylen Brown, his case would have been stronger the last 5 years. Mind you, 2003, he was averaging 30 points a game, but he was 4th in MVP. He was shooting great. He was giving you great numbers, about 7 rebounds, 7 assists, the LeBron stats, but he was averaging 30 a game. And the year before that, he was averaging like 26, 27 a game.
Wait, has he ever averaged 30 during the regular season?
Yeah, just once. That was the 2023 season. Let me see, make sure. Yep, 2023, 30.1 points per game, right on the dot.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, word up.
And the thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And here's the thing.
He did.
Even in that season, you couldn't see who was he in the race with? Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid doing what they were doing.
You're just not gonna win that.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
you know
it's
what I'm saying?
So yeah, like I feel like he's in a tough spot for any star player to be in, where it's like we can all sit here and agree Jason Tatum is not a scrub of a basketball player, right? Like Hayes just said, he does everything right that you would want him to do. If his shot is like in the finals last year, his shot wasn't clicking. He figured out if I slash and get past this sack of shit defensively as Luka Doncic is, I love him, but defensively, God, in the finals he was getting blown past every time. But when that happens, causes the defense to collapse, and Tatum has the ability to make out of that. He also had the ability to realize, okay, Kristaps Porzingis just came back from injury, but he loves shooting from the perimeter. So I guess, and we got a 35-year-old, 36-year-old Al Horford. I guess I'll crash the glass tonight. Average 10 rebounds a game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all the little things that he might need to do in order to help you win the game based off the talent that he has at his disposal. He's going to do that. And it's tough. It is what it is. But like Gipta said, when you have players like Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic and Joel and Shea and shit, to be honest with y'all, when you have LeBron and Steph Curry still playing at an elite level at their age, and if their teams are in playoff, not play in, but playoff contention, then we start talking about them top 10 talks. Because that's another thing that I found interesting. In the last couple of years, last few years, when you get the start of the year, everybody lists their top 10 players. Middle of the year, you list top 10, end of the year. Tatum's never in the top 3 of those discussions, but he always finds himself right in that mix between LeBron and Steph and KD. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. But that's another tier that he's gonna have to come up out of, or at least they're gonna have once they start, going into their twilight years. But he's gonna have to get up out of that before he can even think about touching Giannis and Jokic and them, which is crazy. I feel like the way he does that is with Jaylen Brown gone. But
before we transition to the Shaq comments about Detroit, because that's a whole other thing, I have the perfect sentence to summarize what Jason Tatum is, right? Jason Tatum is the best scorer, passer, rebounder, playmaker, defender on the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
He is not the best scorer, passer, rebounder, playmaker, defender in the NBA. That's what it is. It's that simple to me. He is the best in all those, in all those categories on his team. And he shows it every year, every game. But he is not when it comes down to zooming that out and comparing it to players that are. And that's what hurts him.
Right. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
That's a big fact. Big fact. Moving into those Shaq comments on the Detroit Pistons. Shaq is Shaq. I don't even know what to say about Shaq. So Shaq was on the big podcast. He said this. No, stop it. They're boring about the Detroit Pistons. The motherfuckers are 4 games under 500, which he was wrong. They're 32 and 26. And then after that was brought up, he says, you want to brag about a team that's 32 and 26? That's not success. The Detroit Pistons ain't winning no effing championship. All right.
Before you say anything, Hayes, do you have G14 class certification? Do any of us have G14 class certification? Anybody in the chat and us, or anybody else?
I don't care about that. I got CTE, so I'm gonna say what I feel.
Go ahead, man.
So this is, I see why the young cats really don't fuck with old heads like that, man. Excuse my language. At least if you go critique them, like for instance, I hate to talk about the different worlds. At least we know when football players, the OGs, critique the younger cats, they at least watch the games or they make an attempt to watch those guys play. A lot of times did not. Charles Barkley, Shaq, a lot of those dudes, they just say shit out of emotion, or maybe I don't know, maybe it's just for clicks. Because sometimes I don't want to insult their greatness because they were great athletes, and it would be hard for me to think that they just don't watch hoop, or maybe they don't, bro. Like I don't know, but I feel like a lot of their things are just to reel people in. I mean, it is. I can see why a lot of players think it's disrespectful because they say a lot of ignorant shit, dog, to let you know that A, they don't be watching, and B, maybe they just don't even care. But if those two things are true, what I just said, why are you even wasting time to even comment on it? You know what I mean? Why not even take the route of I ain't watched a lot of Detroit, so I don't really want to give my take on Detroit because I
So
haven't
easy.
seen enough of them.
Because
You know
that
what
would
I mean?
take intelligence, Bama. And one thing Shaq isn't is intelligent.
But he a doctor though. He got a PhD.
He a doctor. It's
He has his doctorate. But seriously, but I'm not lying. So for him to come out and say something that's irresponsible, like it's crazy because, like you said, it would take intelligence to take that route. But it's like, why would you go to the? Because at that point, you going to the lengths to tear down Detroit. Like I don't know, ain't they fourth in the East right now or something like that? They somewhere
they're
up
sixth
around
in the
there,
Eastern
right?
Conference, but they're
Yeah,
clearly in the playoffs. Like
yeah.
they're there right now.
So here's my thing with Shaq. And like I asked Chilltown this in Indiana. I was like, yo, you cousins with Shaq, right? He was like, yeah. I was like, why he be hating so much? First question I asked Chill.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Zizi, let me get in my chill voice. Well, Zizi, you got to understand, like when Shaq was coming up in the game, guys like Jabbar and Wilt, they did the same thing to him.
It's actually a
And
really
I was
good
like,
chill voice.
That's
thank
a
you
good.
very
That's a
much.
great
That's
chill.
that's a great chill voice.
Y'all should
Good
clip that.
chillism.
Y'all should clip that.
It's a great chill voice.
Anyway, he told me, and when he said that, I was like, damn, OG. I already knew that. I'm gonna let y'all know I'm an NBA historian. I be reading books, documentaries, all that. I was like, I already knew that. I thought that. But some of the stuff he be hating on, I be thinking to myself, was this even worth hating? In the case of Detroit, you know what I'm saying? Like in the case of Detroit, they they were the laughing stock of the league last
Literally,
year
bro.
for like 87% of the time until Washington came to play. Now we look at them this year, like Gifted said, they can comfortably see they're sitting at the 6th seed in playoff, not play in, but in playoff contention. They have completely did a 180 from last year being the laughing stock.
Yes.
That alone, championship or not, deserves at least some respect. If anything, if Shaq didn't want to give respect to the Pistons, maybe he hated Tobias Harris. Maybe he thought Tim Hardaway Jr. was a fraud. Who knows? At the very least, throw some love to Cade, right? Throw some love to Amen. Throw some love to or a sword. Throw some love to JB Bickerstaff. Throw some love to somewhere over there because they are a completely different team than they were last year. At the very least, we should expect them to, because nobody's saying Detroit's coming out of the Eastern Conference. Shit, nobody's saying Detroit's going to the second round. But damn, like no acknowledgement. It reminds me of that segment that they used to do called Who He Play For. That was a fire segment idea, but a lot of times it showed that they didn't really know who played for who sometimes. And Chuck going on his rant the other week, which was kind of justified in the glimpse of, yeah, OKC and the Cavs are having great seasons too, but the Lakers and the Warriors are two teams that unfortunately have LeBron James and Steph Curry on them, just the two best players of the last 10 years of the NBA. So why would they not talk about them? And if they even have a chance of winning a fifth championship for either of them, I think that would deserve a little bit of, attention. Not to mention the fact that Laker Nation is made up of like 45% bandwagon fans. And then you have the Golden State Warriors fans, don't even get me started. So it's like, yeah, that team's going to need to be talked about. We know OKC and the Cavs have been great. That's cool. But my thing is, why the hell are why do we hate? Just why do we go to hate instead of appreciation? In Shaq's case, he does have the complex of I'm on this level, I've done this, so you have to at least have done this to be here to talk to me. But even still, bro, like I feel like NBA players, like our guys, like our this new modern generation, I feel like after a while they're just gonna be like, nah, fuck TNT, fuck all of them. They want to be. I ain't even gonna do the post game interview. Find me. I know Ant don't give a damn. You can shit. I know Ant wouldn't give a damn. The moment the moment one of them disrespect Ant, it's up. It's over with.
There's a lot of things Ant don't give a damn about, but
Let's
we
not
will
talk
speak on
about
that.
that. Let's not talk about dear baby girl. I'm sorry that man is absent inside your.
Naming the catching bar is so. Oh God, that battle can live on forever. I'm okay. I'm gonna make this quick before we get into the context power chat. By the way, appreciate your context. Here's my thing, man. Like Shaq is such a double-edged sword because I've grown up most of my life watching Shaq because Inside the NBA was always on. To me, it's always been the show you watch right after a big game, right before, during, where they talk about the game. But all the time, they have made a mockery of what basketball is. If we keep it like, what makes it such a good show is it's a fun show. It's fun. Like they clown, they talk stuff. Sometimes they like blur the line between what can be shown on TV versus like regular barbershop talk. And it's an engaging show. But when you grow and you get deeper attached to basketball and you learn more and you find out more about teams and players and how they play basketball and who's good, who's like all these like inner details. When you watch a show, you can't watch it the same way, right? Hearing them say Jaylen Brown should be a all-star over Giannis, hearing them say like some of the stupid shit that they repeatedly say, and then hearing them admit they don't watch the game. What happens during the break is Charles Barkley is watching golf while the game is on. Shaq is sleeping on a couch, right? Kenny is watching the game a little bit here or there. But to see them not as locked in is why we're so detached from them really speaking or really having any value. For Shaq to boldface say on the podcast, yeah, they're 4 games under 500. You're not even close to watching basketball. You're not even like, he's not even remotely close. And then when corrected about it, then changes the bar from, oh, they're 4 games under 500 to they're not going to win the championship. Who cares? Bro, that same logic is crazy because OKC last year, they didn't win a championship. Are they in contention to win a title this year? Why? Because it's built on the seeds that they planted last season, right? Going to the playoffs and losing, right? Seeing what they had, seeing what Shea could do in the playoffs, making adjustments to get to the point where they are now, right? Championships don't just spout out of fucking nowhere. There's a blueprint and a foundation. Prime example, Nikola Jokic, they was dogging this man, right? Saying he can't win a title. What happens, Hayes? Goes out there, wins a title, but that's after building up the foundation. So the fact that he's just going to shit on the foundation for whatever the Pistons may or may not be going to, when you don't watch basketball, it's crazy. But y'all be the same motherfuckers hyping them up because, oh, he won a championship, so what he says is gold. He just shitting gold. No. That's why people don't care about how they cover the NBA, because they don't watch or care about real basketball. And it's a shame because I don't think Shaq is dumb. I think Shaq just don't give a fuck. I think those are two different things.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Shaq, he does have moments where he sounds dumb, like, you know.
Yeah, he's at a point where his legacy is already cemented. So, and there also hasn't been a play. And the thing with Shaq that always got me was like, I remember when Dwight Howard was first branching out into NBA
weird, bro,
conversations. And then we get to the dunk contest and then the Superman and then all that. That was the biggest question mark I always had, because even back then when I was like 9, 8 watching prime Dwight Howard, even back then I said to myself, oh, so this is the guy that's supposed to be like just as dominant as Shaquille O'Neal was, right? This is the new dominant guy, dominant big man, right? And then Shaq, all through the years, at any turn,
hated
had on him.
Never let that shit go. Hey, he never let
You know what I'm
that go.
saying? Like,
Never.
never let that shit go whatsoever. And I was like, all right. And after a couple years, like the Rudy Gobert shit, I understand. I get that, right? He's French. There's not a lot of wiggle room there.
I think that shit weak too. I ain't
It's
gonna lie.
weak, but it's Rudy Gobert. It's not a lot of wiggle room. Your depoys don't add up to this. Your 4 depoys don't add up to this nigga's 4 rings and 3 Finals MVPs and a regular season MVP and Shaquille O'Neal in general. So Shaq's not. You're not gonna touch that. Dwight Howard, though, in terms of being the only player that the team built the team around, made it to an NBA Finals, right? Made it to multiple playoffs, right? Ended up winning a championship at the latter part of his career, but being a big-time help that the Lakers would soon find out in years to come. They need a player like Dwight Howard. Despite that, Shaq's just like, yeah, nah, I don't care about none of that. You don't deserve to be called Superman. Why the hate? Y'all both, he probably shoot a percentage or 2 better than you from the free throw line. Why are you hating this nigga? Why? I don't get it.
Yeah.
The thing is that, you know, the thing to do modern day, right? If you to overcome your lack of knowledge or awareness on something, you just hate on it. That's what
Real
the
shit,
common thing is now.
Yeah.
Somebody asks you something that you don't know about, just hate on it, and people
What?
don't ask
That's
any
ass.
questions.
Yeah,
It's ass. That's why I don't pay any attention to it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But real quick, shout out to content for the $5 power chat. Off topic, but thoughts on the Cavs 14-game win streak. Also, I got you one of y'all first match at PCL. PCL gonna be fun. I got some hard ass topics that I have to train for, but it's gonna be very, very fun. The Cavs 14 game. So here's my thing with the Cavs. Before the DeAndre Hunter trade, I thought they were a very good team, but I was really questioning if they could beat Boston because every time they matched up with them, they would just hunt their guards a lot. I think DeAndre Hunter is such a needle mover for them as the guy that they can plug in as that real wing who's a hybrid of the point guard spot and the wing spot. Like, he was doing some really good things for him. This 14-game win streak moves me because it's not their first win streak. They've had multiple.
Yep.
They're the first Cavs team to start out their season 50-10. 50-10. 50 games won, 10 games lost. In a conference where Boston, everyone just said Boston could be the 1 seed. Cavs been better than Boston all season long. Facts. Facts. Now, will that translate to the postseason? Maybe, maybe not. But for the Cavs to look this good and this dominant, there's so many things at factor. First off, Evan Mobley rise. Shout out to Kenny Atkinson. He's been a phenomenal coach as well. But this team to me feels way more legit than they've ever been. Where I legitimately do believe they can beat Boston. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to beat Boston.
I couldn't remember who they was
can do
playing. The reason why I think they're going to be hell in the playoffs, I couldn't remember who they was playing, but they literally got every rebound and every loose ball. Like, I'm talking about, when I say loose ball, I'm talking about when you got to go dive for it.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, yeah, the Cavs is legit. Like, they probably like are one of the premier teams this year for us. That's a threat to win the chip, bro. Because if you just look at how they play, and they don't turn the ball over a lot. They get good shots. I like them. I feel like the pieces they put around DG and how all of them boys coming to their own, they gonna be tough, bro.
Now look, if you factor that in, all I get this point about them being on multiple win streaks this year. Back to our MVP talk for a split second. Where would Donovan Mitchell rank in MVP talks this season? Top 5? Top 6? Top 7?
See, this is hard because the Cavs are such a confusing team for me.
They are. They really are.
I think Evan Mobley has a legit argument to be the most important player on the Cavs. I know people are saying Donovan Mitchell is the best player and this and that, but what Evan Mobley has done for that team defensively and his impact that his offensive growth has brought to that team, I think he's the most important piece to fall for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's hard choosing out a specific MVP when you have 3 guys that play such a big role. Obviously, Jared Allen is a big piece, but a lot of people push him to the side, even though he does play a big role. But Garland, Mobley, and like they have 3 guys in Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Mobley that are all pioneers to what their success is. So I think when you have to isolate MVP for any one of them, they have 2 guys that take away from that. Whereas, at least with Tatum, the argument is, okay, well, Drew Holiday has regressed. Jaylen Brown been some shit half the season. He's starting to play better basketball now. Like, he has a better claim to it. The Cavs have been such a team effort type of, like, they remind me of the Suns when they won basically 60 games, except I actually believe in their success to translate. I never thought that Suns team was real, respectfully. They were great. I thought there were things off. This Cavs team looks legitimate to me. I believe in their offense.
I believe that and I hope that they're healthy. But the only reason that I don't put them over the Celtics, and I would put them over the Celtics if this one thing happens.
Yeah.
The Celtics, you talk about Evan Mobley being the most valuable, right? And honestly, I'd say Evan Mobley is their biggest X factor before DeAndre Hunter got there. But Evan Mobley's been phenomenal this year.
Yeah.
The reason I can't put him over the Celtics just yet in a playoff series is I have to see if the Celtics have Porzingis. And
I mean, that matters for the whole series. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I say that because not only does that affect the Celtics and what they can do defensively in terms of rebounding and all of that and just his own presence, but offensively, that Celtics team, that starting lineup of Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, or Derek White's in there and Porzingis, that five, when healthy, is a dangerous offense. The only way that the Cavs are going to be able to withstand that is if not only Donovan Mitchell is playing like playoff D Mitch, Darius Garland's going to have to pull his weight. DeAndre Hunter's going to have to pull his weight in his role and responsibilities. Max Strus is going to have to be a big help for them. Ty Jerome's going to have to be a big help for them. Jared Allen's going to have to play his position. Evan Mobley's going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to have to be hitting on all cylinders, dotting all their I's and crossing all their T's. If that's a situation where they end up with a healthy Porzingis and a matchup against Boston. I can't put them over it yet, but we'll see. They've been great this year. And I hope that they make it to the conference finals at the very least. But to answer the second half of your question, the PCL, thank you for saying that you think we're going to win our first round matchups. Our first round matchups are interesting because I saw the panel yesterday and Mars was giving his predictions. Now, as y'all know, I rock with Mars, my little British boy. But at the same time, our first round matchups, I think the whole that 4-day stretch, it's gonna be fire debates every single day. Like every single day.
I believe it.
I gotta go up against Riv from Pick Side, which apparently they said is gonna be the best one or the most hyped one. Now I have pressure on me and shit. But it's okay because my approach to this, I don't know about you, Hayes, and you Gifted, but I'm gonna be listening to Meet the Grams before every debate. Before every debate, like I'm at like, oh my
Dear
God,
Riv,
dear. No, dead ass. But yeah, it's gonna be lit. I actually fuck with Riv because he a hothead just like me. But we're gonna see how it plays out. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, for me, I'm a bit nervous because I'm out the loop. I don't know who I'm playing, and I've been looking into my matchup. Apparently, his name is Renegade. He's from the chat, so I have no context as to what his takes on basketball are. If he has a YouTube, and I don't know about y'all. I hate that shit. Hey, I want to know who my opponent is because if they locked in like I am, they could be going back watching my debates.
You right,
and be prepared for my I can't prepare for someone that I have no idea. He can either be a meathead or someone that's super articulate, that knows what the fuck is going on, that knows his ball. So it impacts my preparation because I will be watching clips of people debating and analyzing game film. That's me. Even beyond me doing my research, I will be analyzing other people's debates so I can be prepared for what happens next. I don't know who Renegade is, which is dangerous. Also, the topics I have are very dangerous.
Well, the thing is too that I don't like about how they're doing it this time is that we don't know the other side of the debate that our opponents pick.
Yeah. I don't think it should be like that.
I get that. I get the thought process behind it, but if we're debating players, you kind of got to know what you're coming up against. So it's going to be making it a very interesting wrinkle to that. I'm going up against Mtel, so that is what it's going to be.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right.
But it's gonna be a fun debate. It's gonna be a fun debate.
Yeah, the other wrinkle that's interesting to me is like in the final round, they're just gonna not mute both of you, and you can just talk to each other. I'm like, oh, that's gonna get really gray.
That's gonna get
really gray, bro. Because, bro, imagine if you get muted, so he gets a chance to get more shit off, and then by the time you about to rebuttal time, it's like, I don't know about that. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Y'all sound like y'all scared, man. If I'm up in there, bro, BTA.
Why ain't you in the PCL then, Bama?
Because they scared of me.
No, why ain't you
scared of you?
They
That's
literally
bullshit.
were trying to find people out the chat to come to the chat, Bama.
That's
a fact, Hayes.
I actually signed up for it, everything. And I said, L Claire, L Run, L Shaq, L everybody, if y'all don't put me up in it. And they ass so didn't put me up in it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, show didn't put me up in it. I was like, well, excuse me.
That's actually pretty goddamn funny. That's hilarious.
That is
yeah. I was like, damn.
They said, hey, we need more people. Bama said, I'm right here. We need more people to come.
We need more people, bro.
What was that Timmy Turner episode? That boy said, how about that rock? I was like, damn.
That's tough.
They Rocco'd you from Elmo and Rocco from Sesame Street. That's crazy, bro. That's wild. Any last thoughts, fellas, before we get up out of here? We overtime, y'all.
Yeah. Good hoops. Excited for next week. I think we'll have some of the battles done by the time our next episode begins. My first battle is on the 18th, so I will be watching how the battles go. Hopefully, I can find more information on this Renegade guy.
From here? I go Sunday. I go Sunday.
Yeah, I go when I'm the last day. Yeah.
You might be the first one to go up from here, so I'll be
you better represent, nigga. You better represent.
Now, come on now. Y'all seen how I did in the last PCL, bro. Like,
nah, Hayes was going on a generational run. I'm not gonna cap too, because I remember I was pissed, like, because I lost to Swipe him. That was where my moment got halted. But Hayes, like, just the last few weeks of the PCL just brought this like demon to the fold, and niggas knew, and it got to the point where after one debate, you knew if you saw Hayes' name on the marquee, no matter who else was on the card, it could have been Morrison fucking self. You're watching that Hayes debate, regardless of what it is. Like, yo, he was going crazy. Now, I will say this too. Mars, PC, I'm waiting on PC to drop. Me and Mars 1v1 from Indy, Bama, the one you mediated. Yeah. Now, all I'm going to say is I beat Mars in that debate. And when y'all see the footage, you will see me literally get to a point where I get fed up. And I'm like, I literally look off camera. I'm like, y'all gonna let this shit happen? Like, this what y'all, like, that's how I am with Mars now. He be cracking the code. I love him to death. But Mars cracked the code a long time ago.
I said the same thing when I had to debate him. And like, it's hard, man. It's hard.
I can say is I'm going, my mindset, ZZ said, Kendrick, my mindset this whole entire debate is last battle, Eminem in 8 Mile every single round. Yes, I'm not holding nothing back. Since they don't want to tell me what my opponents, I'm coming out firing every single cylinder, shotgun shots to the head. That's what I'm doing.
I just really feel like taking that out the game, Hayes, is like you trying to like take out a skill gap. To me, no. If we all are privy to the same information, I can prepare crazy for my opponent.
Who prepares better, right?
Exactly.
It's cool. It's cool because because the topics that I got, I'm looking at the top 5 players or teams that anybody can bring up, and I'm going to go ahead and cook an argument against all the top 5.
That's what I'm doing right now too.
Oppositions. That way, I'm going right to the file if I need to do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So,
yeah, boy.
That's why I wish I was on that, because I would have brought up South Sudan on your ass. So I was like, 1 year South Sudan had them, and you just would have been so ill prepared. In the chat, I was like, Bama cook. Man. I'm like, yeah.
I would have threw a live chicken at you.
Sound like Cap.
Thank y'all for tuning in, man. For another episode of the Logo Podcast.
Have a good one,
every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to Gifted, Bama, ZZ in the building. We'll see y'all next Tuesday, y'all.
Salute.
Peace, y'all.
Come watch me talk football on Trent Channel. Next.